Hey, it's that franchise guy, John Anderson. If you don't know me, I've been in franchising 14 years or so, coming on 15. I've been consulting some of the best brands in the world for almost 5 years now. And in this installment of our video interview series, we have Brandon Clifford, Vice President of Franchise Development at HomeWell Care Services. Welcome, Brandon.
Hey, John. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Good to see you again. In these interviews, we obviously want to give viewers a quick taste of what makes the brand great. But let's start with just a quick introduction. If you can introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and HomeWell.
Sure. Yeah. So like you said, my name is Brandon Clifford. I'm the Vice President of Franchise Development here at HomeWell Care Services. Been with HomeWell for almost 2 years now. I've been in business ownership pretty much my whole life. Started at a very young age and got into franchising, about 6-7 years ago, and then found a really great opportunity here to kind of help take HomeWell to the next level in an industry that I'm really passionate about, with a brand that I think is just top notch. And excited to be here and share some more with your audience about what it's like to own a HomeWell.
Well, absolutely. That's, and obviously we go back and we could talk about what's it like to own a franchise, but absolutely. Let's talk about, HomeWell today. That's why we're here. So first though, let's talk about the industry. What's special about home care? Why are you passionate about it? And why should people be interested in it?
Yeah, and that's a great question, a great way to start, John, because honestly, there's lots of ways to make money, right? And lots of great businesses out there. Like 4,000 franchises right out there in the market these days. But really, the home care industry, it's pretty special. In my opinion, it kind of boils down to three things. I think that first of all, healthcare, as an industry, it's obviously everyone knows it's very stable, right? And while HomeWell Care Services, we are strictly non-medical home care, we still fall within that healthcare continuum, so it really gives our owners a really stable, some people might say recession resistant, type business. Secondly, care in the home, in our opinion, is actually the future of healthcare in general, so I'm always looking at different surveys and industry data and things like that. And I remember I was on just the other day that said that 85% of seniors wanted to age in place. They think their current home is where they're always going to call home forever, and that's true. I mean, you probably feel the same way. Like when people are at home, they're more comfortable, right? Like you live longer, healthier lives at home. You don't want to go to a facility or some other setting like that, so that's really the future. So first, like I said, recession resistant. Secondly, it's the future as well too. And then number three, it's a really growing industry. 5 years ago, like as soon as 5 years ago, home care was really called senior care, and that was it.
Right.
It was catered just to seniors, and but that's really changing as well. We're seeing a huge rise in demand in like the under 65 population. Actually, 30% of all people who use home care services are under the age of 65, right? So they're not necessarily a senior. It could be at-risk mothers, someone diagnosed with ALS, someone diagnosed with MS, traumatic brain injuries, veterans. So it's not, the demographics, not just seniors. And that's something that we at HomeWell have really tried to position ourselves to allow our owners to capture that audience and that demographic as well moving forward. So overall, I could go on all day about this,
right?
But the industry, like I said, it kind of boils down to those three things. It's a stable, recession resistant business, and it's still growing as well.
Yeah. Well, and so I was going to bring this up a little bit later, but let's just do a follow up to that. And for those of you who might be watching this some point in the future, it's November 2020. We are 7 months or so into a worldwide pandemic, and I think we've all somewhat learned how to live with it. But I was really excited to talk to you because I know we've talked previously about some of the successes you guys have had throughout this pandemic and how your business has actually grown. So not only recession resistant, but actually recession
pandemic proof,
right? Right.
Pandemic
So
proof.
and so briefly just talk a little bit about what you guys did as a company for your franchisees as this developed and the support. And of course, I definitely want to hear about some of those existing franchisees who bought more territories, because I know we talked about that.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, we've had 3 franchisees expand. Current owners buy additional territory during this, pandemic. And yeah, just to kind of touch upon what you said, I get really weary about throwing around those recession-proof, pandemic-proof buzzwords because I think at the end of the day, it does fall on the business owner. And
Sure.
and what we really tried to do at corporate, and from the leadership when the pandemic hit, and there was all these uncertainties, and everyone's world was upside down. We really preached stay the course, trust the business model.
Hmm.
Your business is essential, right? People are going to need you now more than ever. Yeah, there's going to be some difficulties and some changes, but at the end of the day, the worst thing you can do is close your doors. And so we made sure that our owners were equipped with anything they needed to whether it was we beefed up our digital marketing quite a bit because you had to sort of traditionally it's a very B2B model. Home
Right.
care is, believe it or not, where you're reaching out to referral sources, networking with hospitals, discharge planners, social workers, things like that. And during a pandemic, you can't walk into a hospital as a sales rep and pitch your services, right? So you have to reach them a different way. So sure, we added some different resources that way, but the biggest message was just stay the course and let your referral sources know that you're open and you're here to help. And that's the best thing you can do in a crisis. And yeah, we came out of it. If anything, we've seen that the pandemic has been sort of a spurred growth for us. During this time, our system-wide revenue is through the roof, higher than it's ever been. We've had 10 locations open since March 1st, like since the pandemic started. And every single one of them are ahead of their first year benchmarks. Just a lot of great stories that are happening. I don't have time to go into all of them today.
I understand.
I think it boils down to that home care is needed now more than ever, right? We take care of again, home care for all is the future, but still our bread and butter, our main focus are seniors, people living at home with disabilities, so the most vulnerable, who are affected the most. So if we can allow them to stay home and add other services, like go pick up the groceries for them, go pick up their prescriptions for them, do those ancillary benefits, it's also more revenue, at the end of the day too. So we've been able to sort of package some things around this as well for our franchisees and allow them to market themselves that gives people more peace of mind when that's all anyone's looking for these days, right? Because it has been so uncertain.
No, I think it's great, and I wanted to make sure that not only did that point get conveyed, but the way you guys approached it as a company, as a franchisor, and supporting your people. There was 2 types of franchises, and this is going to go way off, so I'll keep this short. But there were those that stuck their head in the sand and ignored it and thought it would go away and gave their franchisees no support. And then there were people who embraced it. And I know we all heard that word pivot a few times, and I don't know that you guys even really had to pivot that much.
Yeah,
but,
no, we did though. We moved to virtual onboarding. We didn't want to slow our franchisees down. Like we had a large number of franchisees that signed franchise agreements at the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020. And so what were we going to do? Say no, you can't open your business this year because you can't come to corporate to train. So we set up virtual training systems. So they didn't have to fly. They didn't have to put themselves at risk. Even virtual site visits, where we do it via Zoom or via FaceTime. We have everything set up through the cloud where you can access the same operating system and still pay attention to KPIs and see what's going on in their location. So that way they don't skip a beat, and actually we've learned a lot to where we're actually able to now get owners open faster, right? Get them through the training process quicker by pivoting during. So there's been a lot of learnings that we're going to keep moving forward too.
That's awesome. I think that's going to be one of the big takeaways of this whole thing is those companies that can go back to the way it was in person to some extent, but also leverage everything they learned about technology. I think that we'll find we've taken a decade forward, in terms of how we use things like this and Zoom and digital interactions to support learning about franchisees and onboarding and even training. And I know we don't really have time to get into it today, but your awesome sales training program you guys have and all the other things that you guys do that I'm sure have advanced through what we've gone through. Since we don't have an enormous amount of time, I did want to move on to talking a little bit about what is the franchisee, what could they expect to do if somebody wants to get a career change. They're looking at things, they've come across this video, they're intrigued by home care, but they're a little concerned about what does the day in the life of a franchisee look like? What
Mhm.
kind of things do your successful franchisees do, in the beginning, and then of course as they transition out of months, 6 to 12 and become more established, what does it look like?
Yeah, yeah, no, and that's a really great question. A lot to unpack on there, and we can definitely go in further in depth. But at the end of the day, home care is it's a people business,
Hmm.
and what the end user, the client or the family member is really looking for is someone that they can know, like, and trust. That's gonna give them the peace of mind that they're going to find someone to take care of their mother or their father or their loved one as good as they would do it on their own. So you have to be you know you have to have sort of like the likability, to be able to talk to a family member or a trusted advisor to convey that. But then also, it's very there's a lot of logistics in this business. Um, we don't expect our franchisees to be caregivers. Like, that's not what we're looking
Right.
for. um, and if you tried to do that, I mean, you have to have the heart, you have to be willing to want to take care of people. But if you tried to take care of 50, 60, 80, 100 clients on your own, it's not possible. So you have to really be able to empower others to want to do that, inspire others to want to do that, and so really be that kind of visionary leader, and understand that if you take care of your caregivers,
Right.
in the right way, they're going to take care of your clients the way that they should, and it becomes that trickle down. So it's we're really looking for people with business management background, who are comfortable managing a diverse team, because you have to manage sales reps who are going to be going out, making $150,000 a year, working on commission, going out, knocking on doors. You have to manage that
Hmm.
kind of a person. You have to manage an HR scheduler, who's like more of like an office admin on the phones, scheduling things, doing the back end operations. And you have to manage caregivers, people who are going into the homes and providing the care, so it's definitely a managerial type, CEO type role for our franchise owners.
So you mentioned the sales piece, and I think it's important because some people, depending on who they've talked to, have a perception that your industry is looking for salespeople
Mhm.
exclusively, and so I think that's good to point out that you're really looking more for the face of the business, the leader, right? Not
Yes.
necessarily the
Yeah,
sales.
and I mean, sales manager, sure,
Mhm.
right? But at the end of the day, our team has a lot of sales experience, and we have a ton of training to be able to not just train the owner on how to do home care sales and healthcare sales, but train your people as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned it a little bit, before. It's like a 10 and a half hour
Yeah.
B2B sales training course that we take all of our franchisees through so that they understand it, but it's really designed to take their people when they hire a sales rep. Because at the end of the day, if anyone's out there has read the book The E-Myth, right? Like,
Oh
a
yeah.
business owner shouldn't be the guy under the hood doing the oil change, right?
Right.
Because you don't have enough bandwidth to change all the oil in every single car for if you want to scale and really build a business.
Yeah.
Same thing in you can apply that to anything. So same thing here. Like, sure, a lot of owners might start out in the sales role, or the buck stops with you. You're the business owner. If your sales rep
Mhm.
quits, walks, moves on, someone's got to do sales. So you might have to do it, right? You have to wear many hats as a business owner. You know that. You've owned multiple businesses just
Absolutely.
like I have. But our ultimate goal is for our owners not to be in
Yeah.
any of those roles, but manage the people, put your aces in place and manage those people effectively, because that's how you scale a real business with equity that's saleable someday,
Right.
because people shouldn't be getting into a franchise just to buy a job. They
Right.
should also be looking at the long term. Hey, if I can build this, if I can put the systems in place, I could maybe resell this for
Absolutely.
3, 4, or 5 times earnings as well someday. So
Yeah.
that's what we're really looking for. Is a person who gets that, but also wants to be a part of a business, where you're really solving problems and taking care of people.
Great.
I mean, John, you and I have known each other for a while, so you know that I've owned coffee shops and pizza
Right.
shops, and those businesses are awesome. I mean, I know you own a hair salon, right?
Yeah.
Those are great businesses. You're going to get a
Absolutely.
lot of fulfillment out of it, but there's something different about home care. Whether it's knowing that you're providing jobs for a single mom who, you know, otherwise doesn't have the education or the skill set or the time to be able to work a different job, but she's able to work overnights or evenings taking care of others, which is what she's really good at because she's a mom,
Yep.
so that you're taking care of your caregivers, or allowing a senior to live longer, healthier life at home instead of going to a facility. You put your head on the pillow at night and you get to, really feel like you made a difference in your community.
That's awesome. No, that's exactly kind of the things I wanted to touch on, just in terms of what those activities look like, what those franchisees look like,
Mhm.
and make sure that people know, you can come from a broad background and still have success. As long as you're
Yeah, you
willing to
don't need
work.
to have healthcare experience. I mean, like we said before, it's non-medical home care. While you do need to learn the language, and your referral sources are skilled care, and but we can teach you all that. That's why you get into a franchise. So
Right.
try to do it on your own, right?
Absolutely. Well, this has been fantastic. I know we could go on all day,
Mhm.
but in the interest of trying to keep these interviews manageable, um, we'll kind of wind it down. Is there anything that you think is important, though, that we should touch on, either about the industry that we didn't talk about HomeWell, maybe what makes it different, or anything like that, for somebody who might be watching this and considering a franchise investment?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, find a trusted advisor like John Anderson,
Mhm.
to be honest with you, and work closely with them to look at, several different industries, several different brands, and make sure you find the right fit. Because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, that's what makes franchising so special. Is it's not just a widget, it's
Yeah.
people helping people in business. So get to know the executive team, get to know, the owners within the system, make your validation calls. And I can say, with full confidence that if you talk to 5 of my franchisees at HomeWell, you're going to want to be a part of this group.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
on the front end, do your work with your franchise consultant, work with them. And then if you decide to start investigating a brand, get into validation, because that's where you're going to learn the most. Talk to some owners, do your homework. And because the last thing we want is for you, when you sign that franchise agreement, to have any sort of gray area. We want you to be committed at that point and really feel confident moving forward. So, yeah, it's an important decision. So make sure you're doing your homework. So,
No, that's great. I've had people refer to me before as, franchise sales, and
mhm.
I tell them, I say, you know what, I don't know anybody who's a true franchise professional that considers themselves sales. Yeah, do we have
Mhm.
to have some sales skills? Absolutely. But if I'm having to sell you on a franchise, we have a problem, right? I mean,
I want you to buy it. Yeah.
well, yeah, I mean, I want to, I'm here to hold your hand and help you learn and help you make an educated decision and
Mhm.
find the right fit. But I'm not here to sell you on something. And I know your philosophy is the same. So
Yeah. No,
that's
I
very
mean,
much.
it's a vehicle on both sides, and we're looking for, as much as your clients are looking for franchises that can be the vehicle that they're looking for financial independence, wealth, equity, whatever their goals are,
Right.
just being their own boss, whatever it is. We're also looking for a vehicle as well. We can't affect in the world as easily if we tried to open up corporate stores across the country. We much rather work with business owners who have a high business acumen, and then give them the tools and resources to build something for themselves. So got to be a two-way street. So I love
Absolutely. Perfect. Well, I
it.
think that's a perfect place to wind it up for today. I sure appreciate your insights,
Mhm.
and I'm a huge fan of HomeWell, and we've worked together and we'll continue to do so. So
Mhm.
for those of you watching, if this has piqued your curiosity a little bit and you're interested in learning more, you can certainly reach me here at thatfranchiseguy.com, on my LinkedIn page, John Anderson, that franchise guy, and of course the email John at thatfranchiseguy.com. So thanks, Brandon, for joining us
Thank you,
today.
John.
I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one. Thanks.